One. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of First Person on PressProsMagazine.com, sponsored by the Precision Strip Company in Minster, Ohio. Decades of stewardship and service to the Auglaize County community and the communities of Minster and New Bremen. And as they always say, a great place to either start a career or finish one. They're always looking for good people. Check them out, stop by, or contact them online with the address scrolling across the bottom of the screen here on First Person. The Precision Strip Company sponsors the First Person on Press Pros. This guy absolutely needs no introduction, because if you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley for the last 25 or 30 years, you know Mike Hartsock from WHIO, Channel 7, the sports director here. And thanks for taking the time. It's funny, I see you all the time in a gym and an arena and a stadium, but we never get much chance to sit down.
No, we don't sit down and talk a whole lot, because if we do, it's real quickly at halftime or before a game or something like that. But yeah, it's great to talk, and it'll be 39 years in April.
Wow.
That I've been doing this.
One of the things that we talk about all the time when we're out someplace is the changes over that period of time in this industry. And you know, you've been in a lot longer than I have. This is about 15 years of doing what I'm doing on Press Pros now. But, you know, when you go back and look at just the last decade and the change in media, in television, in radio, in newspaper, in print, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's unfortunate, because in my side of things, you know, I mean, when I took over as sports director here at Channel 7 in 1988, it was me and 5 people.
Yeah.
Now it's me.
I know.
So that's hard to get. But the one thing you got to get yourself around is the fact that our business is driven by consultants, and consultants will tell you through focus groups what people want to see. Well, all of a sudden, 10, 12 years ago, whatever, focus groups told consultants, they say, that they didn't really care about sports, that they cared about other things. They cared about the weather. They cared about breaking news and that kind of thing. So I went from 5 days a week doing a 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock sportscast and being off on weekends. I've worked 39 years in this business now to be able to work weekends again now, because my schedule is Wednesday through Sunday. I have Mondays and Tuesdays off. We don't do sports on Mondays and Tuesdays on Channel 7, and we only do it at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So.
You know what they've done? They've created a place for Press Pros Magazine.
Exactly. They've created, and see, that's what they've created.
I love
a
those
place
consultants
for a lot of things, because now, instead of being a sports anchor and a videographer and all that other stuff that I do, now I'm a social media person. I do Twitter and I do Facebook, and I've just started doing podcasts, which you know and I know is radio. Basically, because you can subscribe to podcasts. I'm just getting into that. I like that a little bit more than the social media stuff, because with a podcast, the type I'm going to be doing, feature stories, I'm able to sit down with somebody and talk for 20 minutes, and I like that.
I even seen you carrying an icon from time to time.
Carrying a what?
Still camera.
Oh yeah, I do very little still stuff, because frankly I'm not very good at it. I need a lesson from you or from Julie or somebody to let me figure out how to do that, because that's the one thing I'm not very good at. And the thing about it is, they're still trying to teach me. When I go out to a game, first and foremost, my job is to get video. That's my job. That's what I'm shooting. And now my bosses have told me, well, shoot like in a football game. Well, shoot some highlights and then put it down and get what if I miss? Well, you've gotten enough stuff. Well, I'm trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
I'm not just trying to get a couple of things and move on. That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah. I know a lot of people out there see you at games at the arena and they think, my God, he's got the best job in the world, because he gets to go to games and then he gets to go be on television and tell people about it. But I know different. As you mentioned a moment ago, I remember you when you had staff, when you flew in on a helicopter to deliver the game ball. All that's gone away now. I want you to describe what your average night is like. You go to UD Arena, or I see you at Tip City or someplace at a high school game. Tell people the rest of the story. What do you do after that?
Well, let's go back to let's talk about today. Today I am at Wright State at noon. I was at Wright State at noon doing some interviews, because the Raiders are playing really well. Doing some interviews out there. Come here, do this with you. After I'm done here, I've got to put that podcast together that I shot and get that all prepared. I'll go home for an hour or so for dinner. Don't have to worry about a 6 o'clock newscast anymore because I'm not part of it. I'll go home and have dinner with my wife for about an hour. I'll come back, go to the the UD women's game tonight. I'll shoot about a quarter of that. Then I'll come back here because I have to be back here at 8 o'clock because I'm doing a Facebook Live on high school basketball from 8 to 8:45. And then I have to start putting together the 11. Putting together the 11 means writing it. I've already shot it, editing it, and then finally standing in front of the camera and talking about it. So the standing in front of a camera talking about it is the easy part.
I know.
But you know what though? It still beats working for a living most of the time.
Yeah, that's what people think. They don't have to work for a living. I want you to take a minute and talk about your catchphrase that I've heard since I first saw you on TV all those many years ago. It's a great story. You've told me before. Tell us about You Stay Right There.
We had, back in the day, we had our 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock sportscasts. They had a commercial break in between. So I'd do like 2 minutes, commercial break. I'd come back out and finish sports. So it just came kind of natural to me. First time I did it, I said something about, high school basketball highlights and more coming up in just a couple of minutes, so stay right there. And stay right there was just kind of that.
Yeah.
It has evolved, it kind of evolved into a stretching out. But the interesting thing is, after I did that for about, probably 8 or 9 years, a consultant came to the station and said, he was listening to watching the news one day, he goes, you know what? That stay right there thing sounds like 1960s radio. Make him stop that. So my boss came to me and he goes, stop that. Consultants say it's bad. So I said, okay. And at the time, we still had commercial break in and everything. So I said, okay. And about 6 weeks later, my boss came back to me. He goes, the stay right there thing, we need you to start that back up again because we're getting phone calls.
People want it.
They want to know why you're not saying stay right there anymore. So it's kind of silly, but that's the way it all came about. And now, because I don't have a commercial break, I don't say it that much. On the weekends, I say it when I have a tease coming before sports. I'll say it then. But an interesting story on top of that, this podcast that I've just started is titled Stay Right There.
Stay Right There.
With Mike Hartsock. So.
Yeah, not bad for a kid from Waynesville.
Yeah, not bad.
Anybody else from Waynesville ever say that, by the way? When you go back, they say, you stay right there.
People in Waynesville know me for who I am. They don't they don't think that much of me. I'm not that big of a deal down in Waynesville. It's just it's fun because it's my town, it's my hometown, and always will be. And I love going back there. And in fact, I'm going down tomorrow. My Waynesville girls are playing. They're undefeated. So
Spartans.
Yeah.
Spartans. We're in the middle of basketball season as we record this today, and I know that I see you in a lot of gyms, see you at UD, but I want to take a minute. People want to hear us talk a little bit about area basketball. You see more Dayton than I do. I see more up north in Shelby County, Miami County, Mercer, All Glades than maybe what you do. Let's talk a little bit about who's good in Dayton primarily, I guess, in Division 1 and 2, who you've seen, who you like.
Well, I saw the Wayne-Springfield game the other night. That one went overtime at Wayne. Those are arguably the two best teams in our area and two of the best teams in the state. Wayne's number 1 in Division 1. I think actually Springfield moved up to number 5 after losing to Wayne. That in the AP poll, that hardly ever happens. So those two teams are really talented, really deep. For my money, though, Trotwood on any given night can play with either one of those teams. Trotwood plays Dunbar, and coming up here, and those Dunbar's kind of. I don't want to say Dunbar's down. Dunbar lost 2 of their best players to a prep school, and they got a new coach because Pete Pullen wasn't back. But Dunbar, night in and night out, can be very good. Belmont is such a good team too. Belmont's a really talented team. If you're looking for a team that you wouldn't want to play in the tournament, other than those, I wouldn't want to play Vandalia Butler.
We've seen them.
I saw Butler play the other night, and they're impressive.
Yeah, we have seen them play against Tip City and Troy and the Pickwis and people like that.
I wouldn't want to play Butler because they're good. So those teams, I think, are the ones that stand out to me.
I'll tell you a little bit about up north because in Division 3 and 4, we have seen Versailles.
I saw Versailles when they came down here for Flying Blue.
Right. The Justin Orange Show.
It seems like they're more, though, than just Justin Orange.
They are. They're a much better complemented to him, I think, than what they have been in teams in the past. So they're interesting. They've been ranked either 1, 2, something like that in the state, so they're very good. I'll tell you another Division III team from up home that not too many people have seen and talk about, Ray Zawoski's Troy Christian Eagles.
Yeah.
You got to give them a little love because I saw them play Dayton Christian the other night. I think the best basketball game I've seen this year. Last second shot to win that by a couple of points. They are playing very well. They got James Anderson, their 6'9" kid, great story right there. In Division IV, Fort Laramie, #1 in the state. They did get beat last week by Anna for the first time. They're very impressive. And the team that I've seen recently that I think, and again, not too many people know about it, the St. Henry Redskins.
Yeah, I've heard they're playing really
They're
well.
not big, but boy, do they play defense. They'll get inside your shirt, stay there all night. They're really good with that. They shoot the ball well. They got a kid named Tyler Schlarman, who's worth $6 to see. They're very good. And of course, we haven't mentioned girls, but Minster, very good in Division IV, ranked
Versailles
#1.
good, aren't they?
Versailles ranked #1 in Division III.
Yeah.
So we got a pretty good comp. You also got to talk about Fort Laramie and Carla Siegel and those teams up there as well.
Interesting that you mentioned Troy Christian because and Ray Zawoski because Dad calls
Senior.
in. He calls in scores. You know, so when
And you can trust him.
Oh yeah, I know the scores right when Z calls it in because and it's funny because he'll call in and they go, got one from Troy Christian. You can usually tell winning and losing with Ray.
Yeah,
you know
he's pretty transparent.
Yeah, you know one way or the other.
Mike's great to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy today. It's been fun to sit here and reminisce a little bit and talk about the business that we're in and wish you well. We're both getting to that point in your life where you look down the road and say, am I going to do this forever? The answer, no.
No.
I got other plans. I know you do too.
A couple more years maybe before if I can get to 40 years doing this, I'll be happy with that and maybe see what happens in the next life.
And never worked a day in your life.
Exactly. Sonny, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Mike Hartsock from WHIO here at Channel 7, their sports director again. Sponsored this week by the Precision Strip Company in Minster. Check them out, a great place to start a career or finish one. Sponsors of First Person here on PressProsMagazine.com. For Mike and all the sponsors, the people who support us during the week, thanks for your help. Thanks for your support of what we do on Press Pros Magazine. We'll see you next time with another edition of First Person.